The Dallas Mavericks are probably headed towards a top 10 pick, and if you want a guard in this upcoming draft, this draft could be it. Kingston Flemings, Mikel Brown, LaBaron Philon. What guard should the Mavericks go after on today's Locked On Mavs?
I'm not a doctor, so...
That's it. It's me versus the machine.
I don't know.
Sock number change.
Nice penetrating thrust to the middle.
Hot man, the hot player.
Wait. One more thing.
You are locked on the Dallas Mavericks. It's one of your hosts, Isaac Harris, covering the Mavs for the last 10 years alongside my good friend, Nick Angstead. And today I'm talking about the 2026 NBA draft because I love NBA drafts and I love this upcoming draft because I think it's a really good one. I'm trying to do a one more thing each week, which is just, if you're new to one more things, it's just like a bonus type of episode. 15, 20 minutes is the goal in that. Sometimes I go a little over. Sometimes Nick goes over. He probably doesn't because he's a company man. And but no, it's this draft coming up is I think it's a special one at the top. And but even if you're not in the top 3, I think there's some really good players from 4 to 8 in this draft, especially if you like guards. And if you're a team that needs a guard, then there are some solid guards that are going to go in the lottery that when you look at a team like Dallas, I think they could be looking for another creator, another ball handler, a long-term guard prospect that could go alongside Cooper Flagg. And it just kind of depends on where this lottery shakes up. We got the NBA draft lottery in May. Dallas, even though they won against the Nets, they're currently set with the top 10 pick. They're at number 8 right now, 15 and 25. If we want to say up, and when in the tank standings, when we say, hey, they're like this amount of games up on an opponent, it just means like up towards like the top pick and those odds. So they're like a half game up on Utah, who's setting at 7, which Utah has to finish in the top 8 to keep their pick. If not, they send it to OKC, which is gross. But yeah, Dallas is 6.5 games back from the top, a game up on Charlotte. 2.5 up on Brooklyn. So I get this question a lot on our insider program Q&A or on Discord, like how high do you think Dallas could go up in some of the odds in before the draft lottery? And it's like, man, I think 5 is the limit, but you need some of these, but it's probably like 6 to 9 in that. So because I could see like there's a world in which Charlotte passes them up, right? Like they're kind of fun. I don't think Brooklyn's probably going to pass them up, but I don't know. You never know what Brooklyn's going to do. So let's just operate that they're going to finish in the top 10. Let's operate in that range of like 6 to 10, somewhere through there. What's the guard prospects for Dallas? And because you feel like if they go the guard route, and this episode's just about the guards, maybe we can do a bigs one next week, which there's not a ton of bigs in this. In the top of this draft that I really like at all. Depends on how you feel about Quentin's at Kentucky. Defensively, he's crazy. But when you look at a ball handler, a ball creator, an offensive engine type of dude that if you want to pair a guy like that alongside Cooper Flagg, then this is a type of draft to do that. So let's just look at the top of the draft just for a second. If you are in that top 3, then we know the top 3. I did an episode last week talking about kind of like a big board-ish type of show of where I would have some of these guys in the draft for Dallas. And, some combination of Debonsa and Peterson and Boozer. That's the order I have them in. I think Debonsa is the number 1 pick in this draft. That's kind of been my stance for a little bit. And I just love everything about Debonsa at number 1. And then after that, I love Caleb Wilson. I know he's risen up the ranks to that 4 spot for a lot of people too. So North Carolina guy. And after that, I think even you could start with Wilson because are you going to sit here and say, hey, do you think Kingston Flemings, there's no way that he could go 4 over Caleb Wilson? I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that at all. I don't think there's a way he's going over like Boozer or Peterson or Debonsa, but like at 4, I think it's kind of a little bit wide open, even though I would have Wilson there. But I think it also depends on like who's picking there, right? Like if Utah picks at 4, they might not want another guard to go alongside Keontae George if George is like part of their future, which he's playing really good basketball. So if Dallas lands in this 4 to 10 range, 6 to 10 range, the guards in this group, I'm going to kind of give you some brief bio of each one, brief description in a bit, and then I'm going to share some of my thoughts of which one I would have higher at the moment. So one of the hottest names right now is Kingston Flemings down in Houston, and mainly because out of the guards of this group, if we're talking about Flemings, Brown, Phylon, if you want to throw Stirtz in there, depends on how you feel about Bennett Stirtz at Iowa, but and then Darius Acuff, which we'll talk about all four of them. But Kingston Flemings is the guy that is just been on a heater lately. I mean, I watched that game against Texas Tech, and just the smart play. I mean, his athleticism at the point guard spot. This Houston team's loaded. I'm not the biggest Sinak guy, which is their big. That is a first round pick, some lottery for some people. But you got a guy like Flemings who's super young. He's at this point guard spot, and then you see a game like Texas Tech, and the end of that Texas Tech game. And this dude's bombing threes. He's got the elevation on the pull up on the drive, I think is like some special type of stuff of driving full speed, stop, pull up, like not even like stop in the same motion, but just like the pull up shot with the elevation. I'm going to drain this over you in clutch moments. I think some special stuff. I think he has some really, his athleticism's crazy. The blowing past speed. I said this the other day. It feels like sometimes he's driving on like his tiptoes, just how fast he's going into the paint there. He could play on and off the ball, there in Houston. I think the only question, he's 6'4", he's super young. I think the only question for him is like the outside shot. He hit a couple of those threes at the end of that Texas Tech game, but is the outside shot going to be something that you believe in long-term? I don't really have an issue with it. I think Kingston Flemings is really, really dang good. So right now, I think it's a little harder to make a case of someone over him just because of the recent play in this. I think you got to go back to some of the high school stuff or even some of the preseason stuff. But I would have Kingston Flemings right there at like the top of this guard group, because I think it's going to be a debate between Mavs fans, because I think a creator ball handling guy is probably somebody that they will target in this upcoming draft. Maybe a wing. There are a couple of wings in this range too that I really like. But just for the guard spot. And I think Flemings is right there. And honestly, I would have Flemings at 5 right behind Caleb Wilson on like an overall big board. I think he's that good. The next guard in this draft is, and honestly, I had him over Flemings until I watched the Texas Tech game, and then I got a little like wrapped up into that game because Flemings was just awesome in that. But I would have him right there with Flemings, and I know he's dealing with the back injury, but Mikel Brown at Louisville. He's 6'4", 6'5", depending on who you talk to or where you see that. 20 years old. Mikel Brown's like feel for the game. And his explosion, the scoring, yes, he could score a high clip, but his passing and creation at the guard spot, man, that's the stuff I think is like special stuff. He has the back injury right now. He's been missing some games. His outside shooting, splits, you look at some of his shooting numbers right now are pretty tough. I think it's like under 30%, but I'm not worried about that. He's shown that he can hit the three at a high clip. I think he's just in a slump and stuff right now. He's thin. Flemings is a little thin too, but I mean, a lot of these guard prospects are going to be thinner, that they'll put on weight over time. But I know Flemings has the recency of like going off and all the things, but Mikel Brown I have right behind Flemings, because I think Brown's feel for the game and what he can do scoring the basketball is some special stuff. And I think if Dallas could get Mikel Brown, I mean, obviously if they can get Kingston Flemings too, it would be awesome to go alongside Cooper Flagg. Let's take a quick break and then we'll be back. I want to talk about LaBaron Philon, who has grown on me a lot, and we'll talk about Darius Acuff at the same time too. This podcast is brought to you by Game Time. During the basketball season, there's nothing like being in the building, the energy, the crowd, the first big run that gets everyone on their feet. Fans want to be there for those moments, not stuck refreshing screens or guessing what tickets are really going to cost. That's where Game Time comes in. The Game Time app gives fans the advantage back, making it incredibly easy to score amazing tickets fast, simple, and without the guesswork. Browsing the Game Time app is straightforward and intuitive. Finding tickets takes just a few taps. There's a thing called zone deals too that help unlock great seats, even at a better value. And here's my favorite part about Game Time. Prices include fees up front, so the total is clear from the start. Oh, thank God. I hate fees at the end. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app today. Create an account. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA. That's LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Download the Game Time app today and get in on the action. This podcast is also brought to you by our friends over at ZocDoc. Guys, it's 2025, almost 2026. Lies. It's 2026. And those days of waiting for something to become a full-blown emergency before you see the doctor, they're over. No more walking it off for 6 months. Done that before. No more pretending that weird shoulder stiffness is just sleeping wrong. Guys, we can't do this. It's time to take your health seriously. It's ZocDoc. Makes that easier than ever, because staying healthy is more than hitting the gym or eating right. It's about actually getting things checked out when something feels off. It makes it simple to keep your health a priority, even with a busy schedule. And it helps you stay on top of your health before something becomes even a bigger problem. So stop putting off your doctor's appointments. Get the care you need. Go to ZocDoc.com/LockedOnNBA to find and instantly book a top-rated doctor today. That's ZocDoc.com/LockedOnNBA. ZocDoc.com/LockedOnNBA.
Shut it down! Let's go home!
All right, talking about the 2026 NBA draft in regards to the Dallas Mavericks, who I think could be in the market for a guard, even though Kyrie's coming back. Like, that has nothing to do with Kyrie and having Kyrie next year. It's the fact that you're looking for a long-term running mate next to Cooper Flagg. I've said this multiple times. Whenever you look at teams right now, like OKC, you look at teams like San Antonio, you got to have multiple guys on the floor that can play, that can create, that can handle the ball, that can drive, pass. Like, I think that is the part of the winning formula right now. And I think Dallas, if they could go get one of these ball handlers in the top 10, if they end up in that 7, 8, 9, 10 range, somewhere through there, I think they have a chance at getting one of these guards. And one of the guards I haven't talked about yet is LaBaron Philon over at Alabama. And I've watched more of Phylon last year than I have this year, because last year he was one of the latest. He could have been the last person that withdrew from the draft. I could be wrong on that, but he was one of the a late withdrawal from the draft. I said he's from Alabama, but last year he played a lot off the ball, playing with Mark Sears. And, you know, Sears was, if you remember, he's kind of like the, if you squint for a second and your contacts are messed up, you're like, is that Jalen Brunson out there? And that's the type. So he plays with Mark Sears. Alabama has a good run. Nate Oates at Alabama's a really good coach. And but now, you know, Sears is gone. Phylon's playing this point guard spot, and he's 20 years old. He's 6'3", 6'4". I'm really impressed by him. Like, I probably like him. Like, for me, he's clearly over Darius Acuff, and I get it. Besides Flemings, Acuff has had the more noteworthy monster performances right now. I'll talk about him just in a second down in Arkansas. But Phylon, I love his size. I love that he can play on and off the ball. I think he has a high IQ. I think some of his creativity with his ball handling is some really special stuff. You look at his shooting percentages right now. I think he's at 39% from three. Really good field goal percentage. I just think he's a really he's a highly effective player. And I just love his all around overall game. He's explosive. I would put Flemings and Mikel Brown as a slight above him. But if you're telling me Dallas is at 9, and Kingston Flemings went 4 or 5, Mikel Brown went at 7, and Phylon's on the board, Dallas is picking at 9, I'm taking Phylon and being happy with it, because I just think he's that good. I think he's a really good player. And I will say I want to watch more of him. I've seen more of Flemings and Mikel Brown. I've watched a little bit more of him late, but I just watched him more last year where he's playing a lot of off the ball with Sears, and I want to see him more in this point guard role that he's playing this year. So Darius Acuff. Acuff is the smallest of the group, all right? He's 6'2", 6'1", depending on some places, 19. He's run the offense for Calipari in Arkansas, and they're a fun team. They have some other prospects on their team and stuff too, but Acuff is kind of like what I said with Flemings. Flemings had these big moments so far at the beginning of the season. Acuff has had his moments too, and they actually went head to head, which I think I would encourage you to go watch that game too, of Acuff versus Flemings, which is a fun one. But Acuff, his downhill stuff is really impressive. What he can do when he gets into the paint, he's got a good touch in the paint. The tough part with Acuff is his size and his defense. And don't stop me if you've heard this before, but Trae Young had really similar things of like prolific scorer, but kind of smaller and wasn't good at defense at all. Now, Acuff is a little bit thicker. He's not as thin and like fragile as a Trae Young, but Acuff is kind of like the Trae Young vibes of, hey, he's a really good scorer, but the size and defense could be a problem. I think some team, like a team, will take him maybe in the lottery, but I don't think he gets out like the top 20 or something like that. And he's going to be like a good point guard in the league. But I think when you compare him to some of these other guys, for me, don't tell Rashad Phillips this because this is like his guy. I would have the other three above him. I would have Flemings in this order: Flemings, Mikel Brown, Phylon, and then Acuff. I like Bennett Stirtz at Iowa. He is like your floor general type of guy. Is really good shooter. Love his shooting form. He is 22, but he's 6'4", super high IQ. He played at Drake, if you remember him playing at Drake, and then transferred over to Iowa. I think the coach took that job and stuff, went with him, but could be wrong on that. I would have Acuff over Stirtz. So there's my, if you care about this stuff, I realize the NBA draft stuff is not for everybody, but I love draft stuff. I watch a lot of the draft stuff. I'm not trying to say I'm an expert. I'm not. No Ceilings are the experts. Raphael, which is a Maverick scout now, is the experts. Those guys are the experts. All right. Sam Vicini, those are a lot of fun. I love following their content and really good stuff. This is just me. I love following this stuff, and I'm going to try to do one every week about the draft. And just for the fun of it, though, something I always like to go back to just for, I think just to give me a little context of just how everybody viewed them in the country before they got to college and playing this year. And it really wasn't that long ago. But it doesn't mean a ton. I don't know. I love doing this. Is I go back and look at their high school rankings of where they were ranked in their class. And this was the rankings for coming out of high school, going into college. One, LaBaron Philon was obviously in Cooper Flagg's draft, but he decided to go back to school. He was 32 in that class. So ranked 32 in Cooper's class. Where was Cooper Flagg ranked? Yeah, at one. But high school rankings this year going into college, Darius Acuff at number 7. He was the highest of this group. He was a 7th ranked prospect going in to college, and he goes to Arkansas. Mikel Brown was right after him at 8, goes to Louisville. And then Kingston Flemings, 22nd in this class, 22nd. I think it's fun to go back and look at some of these classes. A lot of times you can see the same people at the top that goes in the draft, and that carries over, like a Cooper Flagg, something like that. But every once in a while you have the one-offs, like a Kingston Flemings that is, obviously in that class going into college last year at 22. I was going back and reading some of the draft stuff before the season started, and there's some people that wasn't even talking about Kingston Flemings. So he has made a fast rise in NBA circles, in draft circles, and everything from, all right, yeah, if he's one and done, he can be like a late first round pick, to, oh crap, is he going to challenge Caleb Wilson for pick 4? He's a top 10 pick, and he's a lot of fun right now. So there you go. I think Dallas should, if they end in that 8, 9, 10 range, you have to put the caveat depending on who drops or something like that. I think they should have a shot at a guard here. I think the way it's looking right now at this current moment, you got to get some lottery luck maybe to move up to get Kingston Flemings, because it feels kind of weird like Kingston Flemings would last past like a 7th spot. But Dallas would have to, I think, move up a little bit, maybe at 6. Maybe you get lucky and you get that 4 spot. But I think if you stay at 8, 9, 10, if you're Dallas, you're probably not getting Kingston Flemings. At that point, you're looking at, hey, how high do you have a Darius Acuff? How will a team look at a Mikel Brown and be like, in the 4 or 5 picks above you and be like, I don't know about the back stuff. Is he too skinny? I'm taking him if he gets to 8 or 9. LaBaron Philon is the one. I think that's the one that could realistically creep up to around that 10 spot. And I think if you're Dallas, if you're setting at that like 9 spot, Flemings is gone. Mikel Brown's probably gone. And then I think you're looking at like a debate of Phylon versus Acuff. And yeah, y'all can tell me in the comments which one out of these prospects you like the most. Flemings, it's a cheater answer because he's really good. But you say Flemings if you want. And tell me who you like between Acuff and Phylon if you're a draft person or a college basketball person. There you go. I'll be back next week with another. I'll be back like literally later tonight too, talking about the Mavs. But yeah, we're going to create a playlist on YouTube and stuff too. If draft stuff is your thing, there you go. Catch you later tonight. Peace out.